Verbal source citations, a video designed to help you locate and properly announce verbal source citations during your speech. Produced by Professor Franklin Reynolds. You will cite your sources on your outline, written, and during your speech, verbally. Depending on your professor, written bibliographic citations will likely use either APA or MLA citation guidelines. In this video, I will reference them as MLA citations. There are key differences between your written citations and your verbal citations. Written citations are full, written-out MLA source citations which go on your Works Cited page of your formal sentence outline. Verbal source citations are verbal citations which are shorter, spoken versions of the MLA citation said aloud prior to the content being referenced. You will type a Works Cited page by cutting and pasting, then formatting the entire MLA source citation found in each of your emailed library articles. Notice on the screen an MLA citation being formatted onto a Works Cited page. You will need to change the indentation and the line spacing, among other things, when writing your Works Cited page. You will only use MLA bibliographic citation guidelines for the Works Cited page. You will not cite the author's last name or page number like you do in an essay on your actual speech outline. Unlike an essay which is meant to be read, when writing out a speech, you will write the citations to be spoken. You'll see a few examples on the screen. Notice how, unlike in an essay, the citations are not at the end in parentheses with the author's name and the date or page number. Here, we have the name of the publication and the date, along with the information from the article. The first example shows, as stated in the encyclopedia titled Biology, copyright 2016, their ancestry goes as far back as the Triassic period over 215 million years ago. The other example shows, Encyclopedia Britannica, January 2, 2019 reports that saltwater crocodiles can reach lengths of 20 feet and weigh over 2,000 pounds. Verbal source citations have three key elements. Your verbal source citation will include the following three elements. 1. Credit the source prior to giving the information. Say, according to, or as noted in. 2. Provide the name of the publication. This is the newspaper, magazine, journal, newsletter, or encyclopedia's name. And 3. Provide the full date of publication. Some sources come out daily, some monthly, bi-monthly, even yearly. How will you know which part of the full MLA citation is the publication name to verbally announce? Start by locating the library database articles you emailed yourself. Your speech requires multiple credible library sources. If you followed the database instructions correctly, you will have successfully selected MLA for the default citation format. If your article was sent as HTML full text, your article appears immediately when you open the email. At the very top of the article, you will often find an easy-to-read breakdown of the article's bibliographic material. But at the bottom of the article, you will also find a full MLA source citation listed. This top section can be helpful to easily locate the publication name. In this case, it says from and indicates infectious diseases. It also says date 2018. We now know that this publication is called Infectious Diseases, and it is a book because it is copyrighted 2018. There is no month or day in the date, which lends itself to being a book or encyclopedia. At the very bottom of the article, the full MLA citation is not broken up into itemized chunks, but the necessary information is still in there for us to find. You need to be trained to find the information regardless of where it appears in the article, whether at the top of the article or at the bottom as an MLA full source citation. Here is what it would look like if you emailed a PDF version of the article instead of an HTML version of the article. In your email, the PDF of the article appears as an attachment inside the email. Since the citation is not itemized like the HTML version was that we saw on the previous screen, you'll need to go through the full MLA citation to find the publication name and the full date. This can be tricky, especially if you've never heard of sources like Cat Watch Newsletter from Cornell University. Think of the following variables when it comes to your sources. You go to the library. You search within databases. You find publications. Books, encyclopedias, newspapers, magazines, journals, and newsletters. You read a specific article with a specific title. It was written by a random author who you've never heard of. For verbal source citations, we only need to know the publication that contained the article and the date it was published. Let's try doing a verbal source citation. Your citation needs 3 items: attribution of the source prior to the information, the publication name, and the appropriate date. As noted in Infectious Diseases, copyright 2018, rabies, from the Latin word for mad, is an acute viral illness affecting mammals. You'll see that we have the attribution of the source, as noted in, the publication name, Infectious Diseases, and the appropriate date, copyright 2018. After this information, we've provided a summary of what appeared in the article. Be very careful. Do not announce the title of the article. You want to cite the name of the publication. Incorrectly citing the title will sound odd. For example, according to U.S. rabies cases are on the rise. Most of the cases were wildlife, but pests need protection. From April 2020, rabies is a fatal virus affecting humans. You'll see that the title was extremely long, and it's kind of cumbersome to say. This is different than if we'd cited the name of the publication instead of this title. Correctly citing the publication name offers source credibility, since it explains where the information is coming from instead of the title of the actual article. Correctly said, it would be, according to the newsletter Cat Watch from April 2020, rabies is a fatal virus affecting humans. This is not only much easier to say, it offers the source credibility by talking about information coming from a cat publication, which has to do with animals and rabies, and it's also easier on the ears and shorter to say out loud. Here's a tip. Find the name of the publication and the dates in the MLA citation by eliminating items you don't need to say. Remember, you only need the name of the publication and the date. Eliminate the title of the article, volume and issue number, the database name, page numbers, any links, and any author, editor, publishing company, or retrieval dates. We're left with the name of the publication and the full date, a monthly newsletter. You can easily do this by crossing it out a printed sheet of paper that has the MLA citation on it, or do it in a Word document and delete the items that you see on the screen that don't need to be cited. Eliminate the title of the article, the volume and issue number, the database name, page numbers, links, author and editors, and any publishing company or retrieval dates. Again, you're left with the name of the publication and the full date. In this case, it's a magazine, Scientific American, October 2018. Because there's no day associated with October, this means it's a monthly publication. Let's do another one for an encyclopedia. Eliminate the title of the article, the volume and issue number, the database name, the page numbers, links, author and editor, the publishing company. No one cares about the company who published it. They care about what the name of the publication is. And any retrieval dates. They might also be listed as accessed dates. We're left with the name of the publication and the full date. The St. James Encyclopedia of Pop Culture, copyright 2013. Let's do one more. This is for a newspaper. Eliminate the title of the article, the volume and issue number, database name, page numbers, links, author and editor, and any publishing company or retrieval dates, and we're left with the newspaper name, the Daily Mail, and the full date, March 10th, 2020. Again, the name of the publication is the name of the newspaper, magazine, journal, or encyclopedia. Think to yourself, what would be the entire publication's name that you would see on the cover? In this case, you'll see the New York Times, Dog Watch, Scientific American, and the Encyclopedia of Food and Culture. Here's a clue for determining if a source is a newspaper. Look at the name for any clues. The Reynolds Journalism Institute studied the names of 1,506 U.S. newspapers in the U.S. in 2015 and found common newspaper titles such as Daily, Journal, Record, Star, Gazette, and Courier. You'll see other names listed in the image on the screen. Also, You'll often find a city name in the publication, like the Denver Gazette. Be sure to cite the date of your source correctly. Here's a cheat sheet for what to look for. Newspapers come out daily. Daily dates will have a month, day, and a year. For example, June 3rd, 2020. Magazine and newsletter dates vary. Monthly dates will state something like June 2020. Weekly dates will have a month, day, and a year, like June 3rd, 2020. And bi-monthly dates will list them as 2 months and a year. For example, January/February 2020. Journal dates vary. Like magazines, sometimes they're weekly or monthly, but they can also be quarterly, such as Spring 2020, or even yearly, Copyright 2020. Encyclopedias use just a yearly date called a copyright date since they're a book. Usually you can find the copyright date of a hardcover book by opening up the cover and looking at the first few pages for the indication of copyright with a C inside of a circle and then the year. One notable exception to this is Encyclopedia Britannica, which you will find in the school's library databases listed under Britannica Academic. Encyclopedia Britannica for many years was a hardcover encyclopedia you could find in the library. But in the age of the internet, they've given up publishing hardcover books. So now all of their information is fully online, and they update every single article with a month, day, and a year for that information. So for this Encyclopedia Britannica, you wouldn't say copyright and then a year. You'd say Encyclopedia Britannica, and for example, June 3rd, 2020. Here is a final recap of the 3 items needed to verbally cite your sources. 1. Credit the source prior to stating the material you are referencing. 2. Provide the name of the publication, the newspaper, magazine, journal, newsletter, or encyclopedia's name. And 3. Provide the full date of the publication. Like before, if we were saying this out loud, we would say, as explained in the newsletter Catwatch, April 2020. We would then have information after this citation that summarizes what we learned from Catwatch newsletter. Thanks for watching.